when you start collecting a TCG, whether it's One Piece or any other TCG, no one really tells you how to trade or how to collect. And it's something you sort of have to learn as you go. And if you believe, I'm a strong believer in your passion is your collection should be your passion, and your passion is your collection. But this does present a problem. And I found myself in this position, and tell me what you think and how you're feeling about this. And I've started to do things a little bit differently as I've learned along my journey, but trading this is a problem. And the problem is, I made a video talking about your collection should be your passion, not a spreadsheet. I'm a really strong believer in that. And however, when you're collecting, it becomes a problem because, and the problem is that I don't want to sell any of this because I'm super passionate and love these cards and love the sealed product I've got. I don't want to sell it. They're collectibles for me. I want to keep them in my collection, and so it's given me it gives you a little bit of passion paralysis because you've got these cards, and now, let's talk about a few of them. The Silver Buggy, I've got the Silver Shanks now, the Luffy SP that I love, the event mangas that I've been collecting, the Pecan Army, the Own Army, the Sabo Treasure Cup winner card, the Zorro Tournament prize card. These are the portraits. I've got the Boa Lisa now in Japanese, so I've got the Boa Lisa, the Newgate, and the Law now, the portrait style from OPO4. So this is great, and you start to collect them, and then what happens is you start to run out of air. So I was thinking about this like a deep sea diving analysis. When people go deep sea diving for treasure, or they go deep sea diving, looking for stuff in wrecks, they don't just take one tank with them. That's their oxygen. They always have a backup tank. And if you're just diving all the time with one tank, you have to come up for air. And I was thinking about this, like having the second tank, and this is the sort of ability to trade, is your oxygen. It means you don't have to surface early. The extra tanks let you continue to find the real treasure, searching for the different cards. And your oxygen is your funds. And eventually, if you just keep buying and you never sell or trade anything, then you get yourself into a position where your funds maybe run low. And everyone's financial situation is different, right? But I'm just talking from personal experience. You end up having to trade or sell stuff you don't want to because you want to buy something different. Or you end up, and what happens is maybe you buy stuff at the start when you're collecting that you don't really want, or you rip stuff that you don't want that you can sell, that you can trade. But generally long term, what happens is you start to get your collections into a place where you're really happy with it. And the stuff you've been chasing, you're just buying the whole time. And that's great, but then, and this is like, this display is kind of the soul of my collection. I don't want to sell any of this, I want to keep it, but that leaves me with a problem. And I don't know, I'll tell you a story, right? Have you ever been in the position where you've been at a card show, and I end up leaving all of my collection at home because I don't want to trade it, but have you ever been in a position when you've taken some cards to a card show or some slabs to a card show, and you want to get into something else, and you end up trading a card or selling a card you didn't want to because you want to buy the next thing, and then you end up having to buy back that card, and you get the sort of like a buyer's or like a trader's regret, where you're like, damn, I used to have that. Or you see your friend who's a collector who sends you a new card and say, yeah, I used to have that card, I loved it, can't believe I sold that or traded that for 200. I want to buy it again. Oh no. Now we've got a problem because now it's 500. It's double what it was. And now you have to literally go pay double to get back into the cards you had before. And so there is a way around this, and some of you I'm sure in the comments, but if you're new to collecting, I want to give you some sort of secrets of trading or some ideas of how to optimize your collection so that you don't run out of oxygen early. You've always got the spare tank that will allow you to trade without emotion, because I think quite often this display can be a trap because you can never trade these cards that are on your display or in your binder without regret, because you have a link to them, especially if you've been chasing this stuff or you've ripped it. You know, but particularly if you rip something, do you really want to sell it or trade it? If you love that one, if you love that particular card, whether it's an SR, an SEC, an SP, let alone you know, like a really, really top card. So there is a way around this, and the strategy that I've been doing, and I want to be very clear about this so that, you know, so I avoid being called a money bro or investment bro or any of these kind of terms, because I firmly believe I'm not one of those people. Again, no gatekeeping here. You collect and trade how you want to, but there is something about one to keep, one to trade, one to hold, or one for your display, one for short-term opportunity, and one for long-term growth. And this isn't about buying 100, and I'm a big believer that people shouldn't do this. Again, don't want to tell people what not to do. Who am I to tell people what to do? Buying 100 or 500 of one card to corner them up, well, you can't really do that in One Piece because there's not enough liquidity, but there's not enough cards that are liquid. But say you bought 50 or 100 of one card and cornered the market, inflated the prices like the Gengar Nami thing, that is not good. I'm not telling you to do that. So I want to be really clear. And I'm not saying you should do this with every card. I think it'd be very hard to do it with every card. However, would it be quite smart for 4 or 5 cards potentially to do this with, where you buy 3 cards of that same copy, one to keep for display, one for short, you know, for opportunity, that could be short to mid-term, so maybe over the next 6 months to a year, if there's maybe a spike in the market, okay? Quite a lot of my friends, they buy 1 Japanese and 1 English of the card they love. Then they've got 2 in their collection. So you've got 1 to keep, 1 to potentially trade, so opportunity, short to mid-term opportunity, and then 1 long-term to hold that you don't feel emotion when you sell because you've got that 1. So let me give you an example. Like the Pikanami now, that I think is going to do really, really well, if this doubles or triples in value, that would allow me to get into a manga or something like that long-term. Or the Sabo, or the Boalisa. Those 3 cards, I mean all of this collection, but let's take 3 that I've recently bought, the Zeus SB, the Pikanami, the Sabo, and the Boalisa. I don't want to sell any of those. That presents a problem though, because then if I've got no oxygen, I have to always buy. If I see a new SP that I want to get into, I just have to always go and spend money to do it. And that is long term. It's about sustainability of your collection. It's not about being an investment bro, but it's about how to be sustainable. So how smart would it be for me to say, for 3 or 4, 5 cards I'm confident on, that I believe in, and I'm not telling you how to do this with particular cards, but it's quite a good strategy to say, right, I'm going to get 3 Pikanamis, 3 Sabos, and 3 Boalisas. That could be in English or Japanese, fun depending, okay? But let's just say I've got the Boalisa in Japanese and English, and then 1 for long term. It means I keep this Boalisa in my collection forever, the Japanese, because I love this. I've got 1 that if the market booms in the next 3 months and doubles in value, I can sell it if I need the funds, or I can trade up into something else. And then long term, over the next 5 years, 3 to 5 years, I think the Boalisa is going to do amazingly, let alone in like 10 years time. But what happens if you want to keep the card and then say, the TCG and One Piece continues the way we think it's going to, and it continues to do really, really well over long term, something like this Boa Lisa, that means I've got to sell the card that I'm passionate about and love and want to keep in my collection. I don't want to sell that card. But then if one day that Boa Lisa that cost me, I don't know, I can't remember exactly what I'm in at on that card, maybe £350, let's say $500. What about if it's worth $2,000? In 5 years, or 6 years, or 10 years time? You know, if it's 4 times or 5 times the price that I paid for it, which could happen, then I've got to sell the card I love that I've had displayed for years, that I have an attachment to. And some of you might be okay with that, but how many of you felt that regret after you've done that? However, if I've in that period, in that 5 or 6 year period, I've kept this one on display, I've got one in English to trade with short term, so maybe in a year or 18 months time, the market, goes nuts again. You've got an opportunity, and then you can trade without emotion. Also, it's much better when you're trading because you're not so attached to it, because you know you've got the card at home. And I'm not suggesting you buy 3 of everything, because I think that's probably very difficult to do, and 2, if you're doing that, I just think that's hard to do. And again, I'm not saying buy 10 copies or 50 copies or 100 copies, but buying 3 of something, or even 2, let's even say 2 of something, a Japanese and an English, it just gives you an opportunity to, if you have bought the card and it does really well, you can trade. It is a trading card game. If you never trade and you're just buying all the time, you're just consumer, you're just a Bandai consumer, you're not actually trading. And there's a lot of fun to be had in actually trading, collecting and trading. Okay, so you need to have some sort of bridge for yourself where you're not always having to dip into your bank account, and also you don't always have to sell the cards that you're super passionate about, because I want to keep this stuff in my collection. And I've been in recently to card shows and taken nothing with me. I used to take this with me with my slabs in it. I end up not taking it because I don't want to trade any of this stuff. And I think that does mean that inevitably you're having to probably then trade stuff you don't want to trade. So, just maybe a smart strategy to think about for me now, to maybe start to focus on 1 or 2 cards that I think are going to do well long term, maybe pick up a couple of copies. Again, I think it's quite smart to have both languages for the cards that you love. And look, at the end of the day, if it doesn't go up and it just stays consistent over time, you've got 2 copies, you can always sell it down the line or trade it down the line, the version of the card that you don't want. You can keep the Japanese, or you can keep the English if you prefer the English. But it's quite a smart play for me now, I'm thinking, right, I'm going to pick up a couple of copies of the Zeus, I'm going to pick up a couple of copies of this Sabo, I'm going to try and see if I can get a couple of copies of the Boa. I'm not cornering the market. I'm not just quick flipping it, okay, for 5% or 10% and just volume. This is short to mid-term. Let's say 6 to 12 months for the card that a little trading pile I have, that gives me agility and flexibility to be able to go and get into other cards that I want to collect. Or if I need the money, I can trade them. And then maybe 1 more card to hold that I really believe in. Some of these cards long term are going to do well. I mean, for me, I can't do that with mangas because they're too expensive. For me to start buying 2 or 3 mangas of the same card, I mean, I just think that's difficult. But I'm only going to ever have 2 mangas, or 3 mangas, sorry. If I don't start to think, well, actually, I need to be smart and buy some of the cards that I think are going to do really, really well. And I'm telling you guys, I think these cards are going to do really, really well long term, some of these cards. If I don't, and there's an opportunity, like The Boa event manga, I mean, I've got it in a 9. I ripped this card. I never want to trade that, even though it's in a 9. I never want to trade that. So, but I think it's really cheap and great opportunity right now in English. I mean, it's going to do well over time, in my opinion. So why wouldn't I get a couple of copies of that to allow myself in the future to get the next Boa SP that's in OP17 or OP20 or an EBO4, 5 or EBO6 or when it's PRBO5 that comes out, there's some amazing Boa SP. And great, I've got a card there that I can then trade, and then I've got one long term that's like 5 years, 6 years down the line when if the market carries on, I'd have done really, really well. And then I've still got this card at home in my display, in my collection, that I'm like, I pulled that 5 years ago or 6 years ago and I've still got it. That, you know, I'm looking, if we're looking forward and me looking back and going, wow, that's so cool. I've still got that in my collection. I never want to sell that even. I love it, and it's in a 9 because I pulled it. The centering's off, by the way. That's why that got a 9. It's such a mint card, that card. Anyway, I finally got Grail Guards finally restocked their acrylics, so I've got some more acrylics coming for down here, so I'll be able to start building up the second part of my collection now, which I'm excited about, to get this display going on this shelf. I've bought another, I'll show you in the next video. I bought like a, it's almost, I got something off, I think it was Marketplace or eBay, but it's like a thing to hold all your slabs, and it like spins, and there's like 2 of them that sit on each other. It's quite cool, so I'll show you that in the next video. And also, the giveaway's coming up. Thank you so much for following along. We have, I think we're about 800 subscribers now. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll do the Gum Gum Golden Rifle giveaway. It's in Japanese. It's coming back from grading. I'll show you on the next video what it got. I'm super excited. I'm really hopefully got the 10 for you guys. As soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll be doing a giveaway on that. We're getting pretty close now, but please, comment, like, and subscribe and all that good stuff. It really helps and supports me and the channel. And I hope you found this interesting. But yeah, I just wanted to finish by saying, I want to be very clear. This isn't cornering the market. It's not trying to inflate the price. This is just a smart strategy where, you know, one for display, one for mid to short, you know, short to mid-term trade, and one for growth long term. Let me know what you think about this strategy. Maybe some of you guys are doing similar to this at the moment. Let me know about your successes that you've had. This is smart trading and smart collecting. I would do it with the cards that I'm passionate about. Otherwise, you end up just, for me now, I end up just trading stuff that I don't have a massive attachment to. And that typically, yeah, I mean, and I don't have lots of that because now I'm not just buying everything. I'm quite picky about what I'm buying. So the stuff I am buying, I want to really keep and hold on to. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope this has been helpful. It's a bit of a trader's tip that maybe other channels or other people haven't told you about. It's certainly something you have to learn the hard way or learn when you're collecting. So I hope that's been helpful and useful for you. Again, I would say, to my personal view, would be to pick 3 or 4 or 5 cards to do this with. I wouldn't suggest that you go and do this for your whole collection. I think that would probably be impossible depending on how many cards you've got. And again, I mean, sealed product is still gonna do really, really well long term. I mean, look at all the stuff I have in my collection. Most of this stuff I bought RRP or below retail or MSRP. And I don't think anything in any of my boxes are at MSRP anymore. So that really helps for your collection. Again though, I've got 1 of each box. In fact, the only box I have 2 of is OP13. I have 2 OP13s because long term, at some point in the channel, I will rip that box of OP13. So I bought that one for a rip down the line. But I'm gonna wait. I want to wait like a year or 2 to rip that OP13 box when it's like, I reckon it'll be worth in a year or 2. It could be like, I don't know. Is that $1,000 box in a year or 2? I think it probably will be. So I want to do an unboxing of that one. That'd be cool because I bought it at retail, and then obviously I want to keep my my sealed treasure. Anyway, hope you enjoy the channel. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.